How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Make Money Trucking. And today we're going to be talking about how to avoid and being aware of predatory leases. All right, so what is a predatory lease? So a predatory lease is going to be a lease that is not in your best interest. If you're looking to become an owner operator, and a lot of these are also known as lease to own agreements, and this basically is when a company offers to lease you a truck, essentially rent you a truck to run it that they typically own, and you're renting it, and then at the end of the agreement, whether it's 3 years or 5 years, you will own that semi truck and you'll be free and clear. These all look really good on paper, but in the end, they're not to benefit you. Most of these are made to benefit the companies that are proposing them, and to take advantage of drivers that are eager beavers and just want to do anything to become owner operators. And especially in these current times and conditions, a lot of guys are wanting to make more money, and companies understand that, and they know that if they show you a nice shiny golden nugget, that maybe a lot of guys will take the bait. It's essentially a bait and hook. So what these companies like to do, and why they're called predatory leases, is they're basically set up to basically make the company money, not to make you money. So they'll say, hey, lease a truck and trailer from us, and you're probably going to pay about $3,500 for a truck. This is just an example, and probably about $1,500 for a trailer. And if it's a good lease to own option, you're not responsible for the maintenance on maybe the trailer or the truck. But if it's a predatory lease, they're going to make you responsible for everything on that truck and on that trailer. So not only do you not own that truck or trailer, but then when you go to have to do repairs, you're basically fixing someone else's piece of equipment for them. So you're taking on the burden and the expenses of being a true owner-operator, but you really don't own that equipment. Now, if you spend the 3 to 5 years at that company underneath that lease agreement, you may own that equipment. But here is the other part about a predatory lease. So say your lease is to lease a truck for, say it's $3,000 a month for 5 years, and then you own the truck. Well, the predatory lease side is going to tell you that there's going to be a balloon payment at the end, or a buyout payment at the end. And what they won't tell you is that's going to be dependent on current market value. So a lot of drivers will say they get about a $140,000 truck, and they pay about $3,000 a month for 5 years. And then at the end of that 5 years, the company will say, okay, you can buy this truck from us for a buyout. And in your mind, you're probably thinking, okay, so I already put over $150,000 into the truck as far as payments go, or just a roundabout number. It might be $100,000 to $150,000, and the truck probably costs about $130,000, $120,000. Well, they'll say, hey, you can buy this truck out for $60,000. And you're like, wait a second, I just gave you guys, more than what they paid for the truck, and then now they want to charge you another $50,000 to $60,000 to actually take full possession of the truck. But there's a trick here, guys. The objective is not for you to make it that far. With these predatory leases, the objective is to trap you, break you, make it to where you're not making that much money, to where you fail out of your lease agreement, or you have to decline or opt out of your lease. That's where these companies make their money. So basically, they're making $3,000 a month off you for a couple years. If everybody went through with their lease agreement till the end, they would make some money, but they would not make as much as if, say, in 2 or 3 years, they transfer that same truck over to one guy after another guy after another guy. So now they've got, the same truck has been under 3 different lease agreements. So basically, when you terminate one of those, there's a lot of clauses in there that they'll take your last settlement. They'll charge you a refurbishing fee to get the truck up to DOT spec. And that's another thing with a predatory lease is when you lease, they'll say, hey, you can hand back the keys and cut the contract at whatever time, no harm, no foul. But what they don't tell you is there's a little clause in there to say, hey, we have to get the truck up to DOT specification, and you are responsible for that maintenance or that repair cost to get it up to DOT, specification, so they can roll that truck over to the next guy and give them a quote unquote good truck. But what they end up doing is they end up racking up a bill that may or may not be true, and then they give that to that lease agreement holder when they terminate that lease, and then they will go after them, sue them in court, send them to collections. And I've seen this be up to sometimes up to $5,000, because they'll say, oh, it needs tires, it needs brakes, and as we all know, I've got videos about how much dealerships charge for their labor costs. It'll always be done in a dealership that's expensive, not a cheap shop, not an independent shop. It'll be done at a dealership. So that is what a predatory lease is. They're going to basically try to get you into contract. You're going to pay way too much for a truck payment per month. You'll pay about $3,000, just for example. You'll pay about $3,000 to $3,500 a month, and then they'll tell you that you can opt to buy the truck out at the end of 5 years, 3 years maybe, if you make it that far, and then they'll give you this huge payment to buy it out, which isn't going to be worth your while. Now, the other thing is they are going to, a lot of times these companies will not pay you enough, meaning that they'll pay you just enough money to where you're not making enough money to be able to save your money back and go on to bigger and better things. I don't know how they figure out this formula, and I don't want to say this is done by design, but obviously they're there to make money. They allow you to make so much money that keeps you trapped there. So say if your expenses are, $5,000 or $6,000 a month, they'll allow you to make like maybe $10,000 or $12,000 a month. So at the end of the day, you're making about maybe $3,000 to $4,000 a month take home, and that's enough to where you can maybe live on, but you never make enough money to actually, progress and move on to bigger and better things. And that's kind of the way that I've seen them play ball, and the way that their playbook is. They want to keep you down, they want to keep you poor, and they want to keep you there. And when you finally break and you're broke and you can't pay for their truck anymore because the work doesn't pay that well, then their goal is to have you terminate that contract, because then they know they can just roll it on to the next guy and then get a bunch of money out of him. So that is what a predatory lease is. A lot of times these are known as lease to own. Now, full disclaimer, not all lease to own situations are bad, but you guys really need to beware of these. If you find yourself in one of these contracts, just get out of it. Don't waste years on a lease to own or a predatory lease, because all it's going to do is it's gonna suck the blood right out of you. It's going to get you down in the dirt, and you're going to feel like being an owner operator is not worth it. Your best bet is to purchase a truck, finance a truck. I've got videos on that. I'll link it up below. How to finance your first semi truck. It's better to own that truck, because the lease to own, they're going to charge you way too much for that truck, where you could finance a truck for maybe $1,500 to $2,000, and that's on the high end, and then they're going to charge you $3,000 to $3,500 for that truck, and then you're going to be paying for a truck that you don't even own, technically. I mean, you own it once you buy it out from them 5 years down the road. So you're gonna pay the maintenance on the truck regardless. I mean, if you own it, you're gonna be paying less for a payment. So that's less overhead that you're gonna be paying a month, and that adds up during the year. So hopefully this helps you guys out in knowing what a predatory lease is. Guys in the trucking industry will talk about these all the time. More than likely, there's been a couple guys that have been suckered into these. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But my goal is to help you guys not get trapped into one of these and to beware of predatory leases. Do not be desperate to become an owner operator. If you want to become an owner operator, do it the right way. Do not get into one of these predatory leases just because you want that title. Don't get desperate. Do it the right way. And hope you guys like this video. Please comment down below some of your stories on predatory leases. I'm kind of curious. I've heard enough horror stories myself, but kind of curious on some of the experiences you guys have. Please subscribe to the channel, and I got a lot of videos coming about some other good topics revolving around the owner-operator world and the trucking industry. I will see you guys on the next one.